Hello, welcome to Train Sim Classic. It's been quite a while since I've done a Train Sim Classic video, but we are at Tonbridge and we're going to take the updated 1066 line from Tonbridge through to Hastings. So let's get the game unpaused. We are in the excellent forcep. So let's get our train set up. Actually, I'll put the F3 key on so that I can see what I'm doing. Let's get a few doors open. Get some headlights on and the panel lights on as well. So we've got two forceps here. We have the famous Jaffa Cake livery that we're going to drive, and we have a Network Southeast liveried one going towards Charing Cross. But it's always great fun to drive this Armstrong Powerhouse train, and it's quite a while since I've done it. Now, the thing to say straight away, this is a updated route, and they've basically got custom models on pretty much everything and new custom models, but the Tonbridge station, they are now using the one that was created with the Chatham route, which for me is absolutely fine because it was a pretty well created station as it was anyway. And the point being that it now means that if you're doing a run using Nicholas's southeastern route, then essentially you're going to get a consistent run because you are using the same station model. So what time are we due away? 17:52 actually, so we better get going, hadn't we? Yeah, the one thing you can't guarantee is the old dodgy movement of passengers. That's very much a feature, of course. So High Brooms is the first stop. So what is this first route? We'll just actually keep it ourselves on 30 miles an hour for a second. And we're soon up to 45 and then 60. So this is on backdated train sim. So this is the 1066 line, recreating the 32-mile Sussex and Kent main line between Hastings and Tonbridge via Battle, Robertsbridge and Tunbridge Wells. And the route has 13 stations with the additions of St Leonard's West, Marina Carriage Sheds, Mountfield Quarry and Tonbridge West Yard. Now, of course, it's been out for some time, and in fact I have posted a video of this some time ago when I did a Charing Cross to Hastings as a full run. But this is the new and improved version 2, which has been out the last few days. So it includes new bespoke built station models for all stations on the route except for Tonbridge, where the original model is from DTG's Medway Valley line, relaying of large sections of the track to include cant and super elevation, straightening of all track and scenery at Tonbridge with the equivalent from DTG's Medway Valley Line using route merging technology, improved trackside scenery, and straightening the route between Hastings and West St Leonard's for more realistic view through the tunnels and stations. Quick driving existing scenarios updated to work with track changes, 2 new scenarios, and include some quick drive AI compatible consists for the AP 205 and the AP Class 4 11.4 set. This is actually one of the scenarios that was included. So it was very nice before, and it's age since I've driven it, but straight away you can kind of see the difference, I think, with the improved foliage. Now I know they've been working on this route for quite some time. We'll have to keep an eye out on making sure we make that first stop at High Brooms. But I remember it being announced on Backdated Train Sim in the new year. Now, the issue being, I can't remember which new year, but I'm certain it wasn't this one. And I'm pretty sure as well that it's kind of like a bit of a part-time thing to dip in and out of, but I tell you what, it's been worth the wait. And I'm just completely blown away sometimes when some of these things are brought out freeware, and it's made this already really good route absolutely fantastic. I love the fact as well with Nicholas's route that we could do the full run now from Charing Cross to Hastings. I forgot to set me device over there, didn't I? Just love to drive this thing. So this is High Brooms. Still the Network Southeast branding on the signs. You've got the old Network Southeast ticket machine, but again we've got a custom model for each station, which is superb. Red seats as well, which was of course appropriate for the era. I'm sure 1 or 2 people will do new scenarios set in the modern day, because it kind of doesn't matter massively. Let's get rid of that for our departure. And I hope the sounds are just coming across loud and clear as well. Now, the one thing we've not mentioned is what is actually needed. And you need the DTG Chatham Main Line London Gillingham route, the Chatham Main Line and Medway Valley Line, the Chatham Main Line London to Dover and Ramsgate, the DTG Town Scenery Pack, the North Somerset Railway, and the AP Sky and Weather Enhancement Pack. They also recommend the AP Vegetation Pack, and of course to use this scenario you do need the 205, or the scenarios in the pack anyway, the 205, the Class 411, 412 from Armstrong Powerhouse as well, 205 some AP, the TS Rolling Stock PGA Wagon Pack, and the DTG British Rail Blue Diesel Electric Pack. Now the chances are that if you like this era, then you've probably got all those anyway already, I would imagine, and particularly if you have a local knowledge of the lines in and around Kent. Slightly premature for the 25 mile an hour into Tunbridge Wells. And again, a very, very distinctive station to enter into in this kind of very, very narrow section. And again, it just makes it having the custom model, because I remember it being pretty nice originally, but this in itself is magnificent. Again, it's just so atmospheric coming into this section. We are 8 car, aren't we? So that should do us here. Again, that bridge, I'm sure, I'm not a massive, I don't, knowledge wise I don't know it massively, but very nice this. And also again, they've just captured all this very, very well. And of course it is to Spa Town, isn't it? Tunbridge Wells, Royal Tunbridge Wells. Just something about these old 4-set units as well, and just the sound of them pulling away is exciting in its own right. Actually, no, wrong button. So Wadhurst is next. So we've not talked about what stations we're stopping at. You know, the ones we stopped at already. We've got Wadhurst, Etchingham, Robertsbridge, Battle, Leonard's, St Leonard's Warrior Square, which is one of my favourite stations on the route, then Hastings, but then we've got a little bit of carriage work to do once we get there in terms of moving the stock. Now for the moment we're single track, and I think we'll get a chance to explain why that is in a second when we go through the next tunnel. Because the story goes, when the route was first built, it was kind of done a little bit on the cheap, and it was realised that some of the contractors that have been involved in building these tunnels, it might only been one contractor, basically had cut corners, and so I think one of the tunnels collapsed quite early on. So as a result, there was a full investigation of the tunnels, and they realised in fact that they just weren't strong enough, so they had to reline them. The problem with that was just the fact that they weren't strong enough then. They weren't wide enough then. They were strong enough after the building work, but they weren't wide enough for normal stock. It considerably decreased the capacity in the tunnels. So the solution was to build new stock. Now the last of those was the famous sort of Hastings diesel electric multiple units that we used. Now it took until the 1980s before the line was electrified, and I think the idea then of building brand new stock, narrow, with sort of restricted gauge, just wasn't even considered worth doing. So they came up with a solution, which was to make all the tunnels that had been strengthened, and there are quite a few as you'll see, into single line. I don't think it's ever proved a massive problem in terms of capacity. That was France, by the way. We are a semi-fast through to Hastings. Love that livery. Certainly one of my favourites. Now I think, forgetting I'm not driving Train Sim World, am I? Because I didn't hear the oh no, we're all right. I thought it might have been an issue with the emergency brakes, but I think we're okay, are we? Yeah, the one clever thing about Train Sim World is you can actually hear the AWS from when you show the outside view, but you don't get that. You don't get that with Train Sim Classic. So the one thing you can find with these workings is that because of the single tunnel tracks, then sometimes you might get held up and delayed, and you have to wait for a train to come through. But it hasn't occurred so far. So, Wathurst is our next stop. I was a bit premature, to be honest, with getting down to 50. So the marvellous thing is that providing you've got those few routes, then that's it. You can just install the route and you haven't got to spend a whole evening downloading all sorts of other bits and pieces needed. It's very, very self-contained, so they've done a marvellous job just packaging everything together and including a load of beautifully created stuff for this route. Showing my ineptitude a little bit with the speed. So this is Wadhurst. And of course, everybody from that era will remember the Network Southeast timetables, the digital clocks. So the next stop is Etchingham. W's for whistle, which kind of feels like a throwback to Steam when they still use the W, because of course nowadays surely it's a horn, isn't it, rather than a whistle, but the W is the letter that survives. That's why we've got the whistle, because of the crossing there. It's kind of a reminder that I'd like to do the other section as well again, the fabulous Nicholas southeastern route from Charing Cross through to Tonbridge. So another of these single track tunnels. Seems to be a bit fast to be entering there at 50 miles an hour. I'd like to actually tell you who's done this. I know it's backdated train sim, and if I remember I'll try and put a link to the routes in the description, but although he's thanked all the people who've helped test it, he doesn't really mention a great deal about himself. Now if you can see, I think I detect a fly on the windscreen. You see that mark there, and if you're thinking that's your monitor that needs clearing, well, I think, yeah, if we do that, we should get rid of it. There we go, that's better. Lovely attention to detail with the footbridges there. Now we're soon good for 80 mile an hour. Now it does make reference in the manual about the video 125 production, and that was 1066 1066 AC, I think it was called, but it was it's a video. I haven't watched it in ages actually. I must dig it out. Do you know, I can't remember. I bought it on video originally, and I can't for the life of me remember whether I've still got it. I can't remember whether I ever bought the DVD version of it. Now we can go up to 80, can't we? But I must admit, when I watched it, I was kind of wanting to go on it in real life at the time. You know, I have been on the line since, but sadly not with a full set. But there's just something about the whole journey that really captivated me. You know, the section in London's interesting as well. The fact that you have to go through London Bridge and then Waterloo East and then over the Thames via the Hungerford Bridge. Now I know there's plenty of you out there who will be nostalgic about the original narrow gauge or narrow bodied block. This is Stonegate. I mean, sadly we don't have that in Train Sim Classic, but we do have the nearest equivalent, which is the 205. Again, that looks a lovely looking station as well. Now there is a return journey from Hastings to Tonbridge using the 205, which doesn't actually tend to have masses of scenarios available for it in the game. I think Armstrong Powerhouse maybe regretted building that unit a little bit because it kind of didn't have a proper route to stretch its legs on. Well, this feels like a good route to try it out on. Certainly well worth a download, and if you're interested in this Hastings line, then it's you know, it really is nice. I mean, I can remember years ago there being a huge add-on for Microsoft Train Sim. I think it's called London and the South East, and it included quite a long set of routes. But they only went as far as High Brooms in this route. Slightly, I'm a bit optimistic with the braking that we're going to stop in time. It was all going so well until here. that we're going to overshoot the platform slightly. Oh well, it wouldn't quite be a video from me without a little bit of issues. There we go. I was enjoying the that flying run a bit too much, I think. So although I'm slightly obscuring the level crossing, again you've got a nice signal box there. That is the level crossing, which of course we should be well and truly behind, but well, it's not a massive problem, is it? We're only expecting our passengers to walk a little bit down the platform. There's still plenty of train in the platform. And you just get the sense here that this is how it was in steam days. Just the archetypal country branch line station. You've got the sound of the birds gently twittering away in the background. So what time are we due away from here? 18:23. So yeah, fairly short spaces between the stops. Robertsbridge not too far off, and then Battle. Then one of my favourite stations on the route, St Leonard's Warrior Square, which is sandwiched in between two tunnels, and you almost feel as though you're kind of going at right angles as you head towards Hastings. That's one of the things I liked about the original Video 125 production, because these semi-fasts, you are essentially stopping very soon after each stop. It's I think sometimes when you're driving, yeah, then we've got to get the thing going again now, haven't we? Wait a minute. Yeah, we're all right. Perhaps I shouldn't have immediately gone into notch 4. But I've certainly played on routes before, and sometimes you load up a game and you kind of think it's 70, 80 miles away, and you're not stopping anywhere, and sometimes it's not quite so exciting, but when you've got regular stops, it gives you something to think about a little bit more often, particularly if you make the effort to stop correctly in the platforms, which I'll try and do for the remainder of the journey. Yeah, sad to say I've never been on one of these 4 set units in real life. And even putting the brakes on is a pleasure, because again, it's nothing quite like the sound of the brakes coming on the old units. You were slowing down. But I think the rearranged foliage and the vegetation, and okay, we have got the Armstrong Powerhouse vegetation pack in as well, which I think helps, but certainly adds to the look of this. And hopefully as well with Trains of Community Alan Thompson simulation we might get some more scenarios, but it's a nice little starting pack because you've got a 4-step in one direction, you've got a 205 in the other, and there's a 33 run and a 73 run included as well. I think 33 is a freight work and the 73 is to go out and rescue a failed 4-step. That's more like it. So this is Robertsbridge. Again, I mean, you don't see these half barrier level crossing nowadays. And again, I don't know the route massively in real life, but I presume that the half barrier thing has gone. I think the problem was you used to get cars weaving in and out if they were being a bit impatient. That's probably an Aldi or a Lidl nowadays, or even a Co-op. Again, you get that little bay platform there. Even in this 1980s time, hadn't been used for a long. The strange thing was that I think people were beginning to appreciate just how lovely this livery was, this Jaffa Cake livery as it became affectionately known. But it was fairly short-lived, and of course the sector itself was known as the London and South East sector, as I recall. Which wasn't a very catchy name. Of course, Chris Green took over and then famously called it Network South. We had the introduction of the red, white and blue livery, and I mean, people obviously look back on that nostalgically now, but there's no doubt about it that it was perhaps slightly on the garish side compared with this Jaffa Cake livery, and it was fairly short-lived. So we're coming towards Mountfield Tunnel, and this was certainly one of the ones that they had the issues with. If you actually read the manual as well, there's some real background history, and it talks about they had when the line was first built, and this very, very unique piece of railway. There are differing horns as well you can use in this 4-step, but I can't for the life of me remember what you have to do to change the horns. more flies on the window now. So just to say, as ever, thank you for sticking out to watch the video, and if you're enjoying it, please consider liking and subscribing if you haven't already done so. And we do try to get the live streams up on a Sunday night at 5 o'clock. We have 4 hours of Train Sim World 6 action these days. But if you've not watched us before, then by all means pop in, and we like to have a bit of fun. And also, if you own any of the routes that we're doing the runs on, and I'll advertise them in advance on the Sunday, then by all means join in and see what score you can come up with. You can't get a more famous place to be heading for than Battle, and of course there's no, well, to be heading for than Hastings really, and of course Battle is the nearest place that you'll get to where the Battle of Hastings took place. I probably made the joke on the last video, but fancy having a place called Battle, and then by this strange coincidence that's exactly where the Battle of Hastings took place. Somebody will probably tell me that actually that's where the term battle came from. I'm no great historian, you'll have to look that one up for yourself, but certainly you won't be surprised that's why this is known as the 1066 line. It's certainly a great historic place to go visit, and there's that feeling all along the line really. Tonbridge Wells is a place well worth visiting, although again, I mean, I've been to Hastings, but I've never actually stopped off. I know my brother's been around Battle and had a look round, and I've never been to Tonbridge Wells either. I have been to Hastings. Stations certainly creep up on you pretty quickly. We've got one of these staggered platform situations. The other thing I seem to remember about the video 125 production is, I think it was narrated by the actor Peter Egan, who you might remember from Darling Buds of May, but he does a absolutely lovely job with the narration. Kind of battling uphill slightly here just to make it to the end of the platform. It's a very, very relaxing experience watching the video 125. Of course, nowadays you don't have to buy the DVD. It's you can download it. I know some of the video 125's been made available by them for free on YouTube, some of the older ones. I'm not sure about this one. I think I pressed T again by mistake. There we go. Actually, that's it. We'd probably have the buzzer, if we hadn't been outside the train, we'd have heard it first time around. That was me just pressing it again. Oh, there we go. Sorry, mate. I was a bit too quick. One of the great things about the Armstrong Powerhouse packs as well is the fact that on these slam door EMUs they introduce the concept of the doors just opening progressively as well. Not all of them open, and they all shut at different times as well, which again is something that DTG couldn't quite manage. I remember them releasing, well, they released a few slam door units for Train Sim Classic, and of course in theirs all the doors open at the same time. We did get the notice at least in the screen, so I managed to see that in time. It's hard for me to massively differentiate between the new route and the old route because it's a long time since I've played on it, but you just sense of it being tidied up and the work that's got into it. We're okay, we're 55 anyway, and then we're back up to 60, and St Leonard's Warrior Square is the penultimate stop as well. It's a lovely part of the world anyway, this is, this part of Sussex, and not a million miles away from the seaside town of Hastings now. We've got quite a sharpish little downhill section here as well. It's very definitely something that's missing in Train Sim World, a slam door EMU. And a new route to go with it, really. But I'm sure that we will get more scenarios for this, and it'd be nice to get a combined Charing Cross to Hastings run, new or old. I'd quite like to do a new version, a new one. I mean, you can kind of excuse, you're not massively bothered that you've got Network Southeast signage. You could still run modern stock along here. Definitely got a real sense of the descent. So we've got to get a bit more brakes on, I think, here, because we're very, very soon coming towards the 25 mile an hour. I didn't bother to sound me horns for all these footbridges, foot passings, because there clearly wasn't anybody waiting to cross. We're still a little bit away. Can't remember where the station is actually. I can't quite read it. Is it West St Leonard's or something like that? Oh, Bow Peak Junction. Wow, that is... what an amazing name that is. That feels like it's something out of a fairy tale. So we are 20 through this tunnel. This is a double track tunnel, and then once we get to the end of the tunnel, I think you'll find that we have a station. So actually we're slightly better than 20. We can go 30 through here. But again, as I recall with the video 125, you got the camera on the station and you can see the train departing through into the tunnel from the station. Not too many places that I can think of where you've got a station sandwiched in between two tunnels. Maybe Hadley Wood is a bit like that on the East Coast Main Line. And you can see the station coming into view like a picture frame as we're emerging out into the tunnel a little bit. Again, I don't know if that's definitely a custom build, that footbridge, but it looks very, very nice. And the train of this length only just about fits into the platform, which is kind of why the markers on the tunnel wall. Just tilt the camera up a bit. You can have a little look. It's one of those default pubs, unfortunately. But again, it takes a bit of skill actually building the roads to actually match up like that. I think we're still loading. It's one of these situations where I kind of think at this point that I'll upload the video to YouTube and then somebody will have a look at it and say, yeah, nice route, but pity you haven't got the updated routes. That's the old one. But I'm sure I've installed it. Quite a lengthy waiting time. That's the inside. This is, of course, these were refurbished in the 80s as well. So this is the refurbished version. So you've got that strip lighting, and these are the revised seats and the those, I think they called them hopper style windows, if I remember rightly. So Hastings, our final stop. So I don't think we'll be going along at a massive rate of knots for the end of the journey, because we are actually, as you can see, very, very close to Hastings. I mean, we're technically 45, but we're 20 by the time we get to the end of the tunnel. Probably accelerate until you get to that point where you get the ball board with the speed restriction. We're about to head to the seaside resort that is Hastings, and we've got a four-set just emerging out of the platform as well, bound for Charing Cross. Again, it's good that we're kind of carried on the journey a little bit beyond the station, because you're not quite get that feeling of a terminus station. I mean, it is the end of the line, but we've got a little bit more work to do. Nice old semaphore signals down there too. That kind of seasidey feel with the buildings up there. And then all sorts of old wagons on display out here, the old yard. And there is the station building itself. Yeah, we can't quite do what you can do on Train Sim World, where you can kind of have a wander into the concourse. But then the nice thing is here, you can take the camera out here and you can actually see a little bit of the the seaside place itself. Somebody will be able to tell me what that's supposed to represent, that glass building. Well, I hope very much you've enjoyed that video, and certainly would recommend you having a look at the backdated Train Sim website. Thanks for watching from Powerflower Trains and Planes. Until next time, it is goodbye.